kicking, never quitting. Focus sharp like a blade that's hitting. From white belt dreams to the master flow, Paul Coffey's got the mic, now the stories grow. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise, it's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Old school, new school, all styles blend. From the mat to the mic, where the arts ascend. Philosophy deep, but the vibe stays tight. Martial minds meeting in the podcast light. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise, it's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins. Technique entails discipline and fire. Each guest brings truth to inspire. Keep kicking, step into your power. Keep kicking, moment to the hour. Every strike, every fall, every rise, it's a journey through a warrior's eyes. Keep kicking. Keep kicking. Paul Coffey leads and the journey begins.
Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Keep Kicking, the martial arts podcast, where I have martial conversations with my martial arts friends. Today, I sit down with Mike. Mike, would you like to introduce yourself to the people?
Sure. My name is Mike Klusman. I've been doing martial arts for probably almost 20 years now. I've been doing Kempo karate as my specialty, if you will, but I also dabble with the Filipino martial arts, and I'm an active live stick fighter. So.
Very, very cool. What got you started in martial arts?
You know, one of the biggest things that I found after looking back is the fact that I was looking for something that I could do for my lifetime, something I could actually learn about and be able to just keep progressing with and practicing with until I didn't want to do it anymore. And martial arts seemed to fit the bill. And so I got started, even if I was a little late in life, in my mid-30s. And it's been a great ride ever since.
And how long have you been doing your stick fighting?
I've been doing my stick fighting for almost 20 years as well. So awesome. I'm actually looking forward to this season, get an opportunity to be on the USA team after a fighting competition coming up here in March, and maybe go to India to represent the USA.
That's really cool. What got you into stick fighting? Did you do that before the Kempo, or was Kempo first?
So Kempo was probably about 6 months ahead of what I started getting into Filipino martial arts. And it actually turned out to be more along the lines of a whim. My instructor at the time, he did a lot of stick fighting back in the day. And we had the head of the system was going to be basically in town, and he wanted to know if people wanted to go to a seminar. And I said, well, here I am. I'm probably an orange belt in Kempo at that point, so I didn't know a whole lot. And I'm thinking to myself, sure, why not? At least I can check it off on a list saying that at least I tried it. So I went to the seminar, got a chance to meet some really interesting people, got an opportunity to see what it's all about. And as we were coming back from the seminar, my instructor said, hey, by the way, anybody interested in doing some competition? And I'm like, sure, why not? Worst come to worst, I don't like it. I did it once and I can say I did. But to be honest, we started doing some practicing. I went to my first competition and I was hooked. it was really it's either a love-hate relationship, and I was in the love category, and I haven't stopped since.
Okay. What do you love about it? About stick
You know,
fighting?
one of the things that I find absolutely fantastic about stick fighting is the fact that it's very dynamic.
Okay.
You get an opportunity to put on some gear, so you have protection, safety, but you get an opportunity to, for lack of a better word, I get to hit somebody with a stick. And potentially, if I'm doing double stick fighting, I get to hit them with 2 sticks. So, in essence, it all comes down to what I like to call my anger management class.
I
But
love
it,
that.
the thrill of being able to be friends with somebody that you're going to compete with, you more or less you beat the crap out of each other, even with
Hmm.
the gear on. That you can still get some bruises and whatnot. And at the end of the fight, it's a 3 1-minute rounds. At the end of
Hmm.
that fight, you go and you give the guy a hug, and you basically say, "Hey, that was a fantastic fight."
Right. That's awesome. I try to ask this early on in the podcast in the hopes that somebody that is not a martial artist, but maybe they've been Googling martial arts, they've been thinking about it, this pops on their feed and they've watched this much. But what advice would you give to the non martial artist that's thinking about starting?
The biggest thing that I tell some of the students that I have and have had over the years is that it will be an opportunity that you will get a chance to learn more about yourself,
Hmm.
and you will find that there are so many benefits that come with it, not just the tangible ones like better health and better dexterity or whatnot.
Sure.
You just learn how to be a better person overall.
Hmm.
And I think
Absolutely.
that is one of the best things that martial arts can provide, is the fact of those intangible qualities about perseverance, integrity, characters, right? All of those things are what I'd like to believe make all of our martial arts just that much more enticing to try it out and to see how it fits within your life.
Hmm. That's a great answer. Okay, so now back to martial arts, and we've been doing what everybody's been telling me is the difficult question. The difficult question starts with an omission. As a lifelong practitioner of martial arts, I've been doing martial arts for 32 years, teaching for 28. I recognize that I'm equal parts sadistic and masochistic, and I'm probably in the minority. Most people that come through a dojo door are not that, and they don't want to hit people with sticks or be hit with sticks. So the question is, how do we teach non-violent people to speak the language of violence when it's necessary?
So a lot of people, this question comes up all the time, and people are like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, what you're teaching about, punching and kicking, and in this case, swinging a stick or whatnot."
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, it's a way. I see it as a way of understanding what you are capable of,
Mm-hmm.
and for that reason, we train. As I'm sure you have witnessed and experienced, we want to be the warriors in the garden, not the gardeners in the war.
Yes.
Okay. So I would
Mm-hmm.
like to know that I can defend myself. I can do what I need to in order to protect myself, my family,
Mm-hmm.
my friends,
Mm-hmm.
but to know the difference of when
Mm-hmm.
I need to use it. And that is the key part, is knowing that difference.
Absolutely. I love that. So I didn't know when I set this interview up that we're Kempo brothers, but where did you study Kempo and under who and all that jazz?
So when I first started out, I'm here in Loveland, Colorado, and
Okay.
I started out under my instructor, his name is Keith Chewett. He doesn't teach anymore; he's retired. But
Mm-hmm.
his instructor, by the person by the name of Professor Robert Austin, took me under
Mm.
his wing, and I've worked with him for almost a decade.
Mm.
At which point it was getting to be a time when I needed to start sort of looking for new direction. I had just gotten my fourth degree at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and back 2023, I started sort of searching out, looking for a little bit more, something that I could sort of get my teeth back into and start
Mm-hmm.
really getting some more detail and depth. And I
Mm-hmm.
stumbled across, if you will, probably the best way to say it. Stumbled across an individual by the name of Master Jamie Seabrook out of London, Ontario, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
actually his student, and I absolutely, absolutely adore getting in the opportunity to really delve in and be his student and to learn and to absorb what he knows. So
Mm-hmm.
to the point where I will take trips to Canada twice a year to go to their testing, even if I'm not testing, because it's about the people. It's about
That's
what I
awesome.
can learn. So, yeah, so basically, right now I have Master Seabrook is my instructor, and I get an opportunity to work with Mr. Todd Durgan out of the Basics Combatives out of the Pacific
Mm-hmm.
Northwest, and it's been a great ride, and I hope that it'll last for years to come.
I like that. I hope it lasts for years to come as well for you. I find that a lot of arts like Kempo, you can dedicate the lifetime to and still not get it all.
That
And that's
and that's fine. It's that always striving for something a little bit more, a little bit deeper.
Mhm.
That's what helps me to, if you will, drive myself every day
Mhm.
to
Mhm.
say, okay, what is it about Kempo or Filipino
Mhm.
martial arts that I want to pick up today or want to start really better understanding, right? We all get these
Mhm.
sort of levels, and what's the next level?
Mhm. Absolutely. Um, let's talk a little bit about the actual competition. Like, what do you do to prepare yourself for competition? You said you were about to do it like for the U.S. team. You know, that's a different level entirely. Do you find that you have to alter training or alter your preparedness in any way because of age or ailments?
So that's a great question because there's lots of pieces of information that can be used for answering that. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the big things about stick fighting is that you can't do it full time, 365 days a year. It's just too hard on the body.
Sure, for sure.
And conveniently enough, basically there's a season every other year. So that kind
Okay.
of helps to give you some downtime to recover or whatever
Mm-hmm.
as
Mm-hmm.
necessary. So the regimen that I have I have a 12-week program that I use with my students, and basically it's set up in three different phases because we have what we call our regionals, which are local. Let's say in this particular case, Colorado would be our
Mm-hmm.
regional area. We would have a competition with people that are interested within Colorado, and they would compete, and then they would move on to what we
Mm-hmm.
call nationals, which is what's coming up in the beginning of March.
Okay.
That basically, nationals is a way of taking all of these different regions around the country and
Mm-hmm.
saying, give me the best of those regions, let them come together, and let's find out who's the top of the chain, so to
Right.
speak.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, uh, those top people will be selected for the USA team. And in this particular cycle, which is 2026, the world stage is going to be in India, when there's usually somewhere on the order of 20 to 25 different countries that show up. So
Wow.
that's kind of cool.
Very cool.
It's an opportunity to meet a whole lot of new people, especially a lot of like-minded individuals, because of the fact that we're
Mm-hmm.
all hitting people with sticks.
Right.
But the biggest thing is that uh, these the world stage is really designed for a whole wide range of people, right?
Right.
We have I've seen kids as young as 6 who get an opportunity. I know, it's amazing, but they're as young as 6, and they're fighting with other 6-year-olds in the arena kind of deal. And
That's
so,
wild.
yeah, so that a lot of people can be taught early. The prestigious zone is the 18 to 39 bracket. That's the youngins, at least in my point of view. But yeah, that's the prestigious age group. And there are lots of different divisions because it's broken out not just by age but also by weight. So you may have a variety of people at different weight classes within the 18 to 39, and they always look at taking the top two. So in my case, actually, I'm actually fortunate enough that I'm in the next tier up, which is the 40 to 57 tier. So
Okay.
I get to fight the older group, which, I like to think is a little bit more about wisdom and how to do it rather than just brute force.
Here's hoping, right?
Yeah. But after 39, generally the field starts to thin out. Most people
Sure.
who have been doing it say they've been doing it since they were in their early 20s or whatnot. They're probably at a point where they're like, yeah, maybe I'll do some coaching, but other than that, I've kind of done that already. So for me, it's more about, I've been to the world stage twice. I took a silver medal in 2008, took a bronze medal in 2010. I want to get back to the world stage. I'm looking to take gold if I can. So, for me, it's,
Complete the set.
yeah, yeah, right. No kidding. But, for me, the biggest thing is the fact that I get a chance to find people who are absolutely enthralled with
Yes,
this niche sport, because it really is a niche sport. I would
for sure.
probably say that between the East Coast, the West Coast, Rocky Mountain region, and the Midwest, the East and the West Coast are probably the biggest groups of people. And even on top of that, I could probably say no more than maybe 1,000 people overall throughout the country probably do this.
That's not a lot.
It's not a lot. It is a very unique situation. So finding
But
individuals who are excited about it, that's the key.
right. But if each one of those people have a two sticks, that's 2,000 sticks, and that's a lot to deal
That is a
with.
lot, yes.
so what do you do physically to prepare and to maintain your health, well-being body while having sticks flung at you?
Well, I guess the biggest thing is, as part of the regimen that I do, we do bag work, we do footwork, we put the gear
Mm-hmm.
on, and we're fighting each other. So the biggest thing is obviously you want to make sure you get in what you need as part of your
Mm-hmm.
practice
Mm-hmm.
cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Try to eat healthy. The Kempo is a
Mm-hmm.
great synergistic meld with Filipino martial arts. I find that they complement each other very well. So the fact that I actually do both allows me that ability to say, oh, you know what? I'm starting to feel a little bit of Kempo here, or when I'm on Kempo, oh, I'm starting to feel a little FMA in here. And I can apply and sort of flow in and out
Mm.
as necessary as part of being able to keep myself in good mobility as
Mm-hmm.
well as good spirits.
It keeps the footwork, I imagine, is similar at least.
Yes, yes.
So it's good. Okay. What do you think the average martial arts practitioner neglects in their own practice?
That's a good question. And from the people that I know who are friends of mine who are also martial artists, I think the biggest thing that I see is continuing to practice the basics.
Mm-hmm.
The basics are your foundations. And from Kempo's point of view, and some of my students who are practicing Kempo, I asked them, so if you were on the street and you had to pull out a Kempo technique to do whatever you needed to do to protect yourself, what kind of technique are you going to pull out? What kind of technique do you think your body is going to be able to do sort of at the spur of the moment?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them that, we learn all these techniques, orange, purple, blue, brown, black, and so on. chances are you're probably going to pull out a yellow belt technique, something simple, because
Right.
keeping it simple keeps it efficient, keeps it easy to do, easy to remember. So, we see a lot of these really, and I think, rightfully so, flowy and interesting
Mhm.
techniques. But
Yes.
chances are I probably would never use that in the real world. I may use
Hmm.
a little piece of it, but
Hmm.
that's just because it mimics a basic.
Right. Right.
Okay.
And it makes the basic more efficient.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, what Ed Parker used to say, what the advanced techniques are just sophisticated basics.
Yeah. 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 Um, if you could give every martial arts practitioner in the world one thing, whether it be a lesson, technique, philosophy, thought, idea, concept, what would it be?
I guess the biggest thing I would say is have fun. Let it teach you something about yourself,
Mm.
right? I mean, that's I think the biggest thing that I found as part of my journey. I dabbled a
Mm.
little bit in Krav Maga, and I found that a
Mm.
lot of that felt very Kempo-like because I
Mm.
allowed that to say, okay, what is my base? What am I
Yes.
comfortable with?
Yes. Yes.
Right? So, but I
Mhm.
can't get comfortable with something unless I'm willing to just have some fun with it and to let it be part of me.
Yes. Yes. The we we as martial artists kind of, what I like about what you're saying is because it's promoting that freedom of movement,
Mhm.
freedom of expression, freedom to adapt something as our own. And I think that we, as martial artists, can get stuck in a space where we're more beholden to the art, or more like we lose ourselves and become a Kempo practitioner, as opposed to allowing Kempo to make us a better version of ourselves. So I like the way that you're wording that.
Yeah, I think one of the things that Ed Parker always said was he never wanted his art to be traditionalized,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? It's not about you adapting to the art, it's about having the art adapt to you.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you make it your own because
Mm-hmm.
your Kempo may be a little different than mine. It doesn't make it any better and it doesn't make it any worse. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay.
Well, I don't know how tall you are, but I'm 6'5.5". That comes up from time to time. But unless you're also 6'5.5", chances are we have different height structures. And just
Hmm.
something as simple as that makes my Kempo different from your Kempo. Like just something as
Absolutely.
simple as height. You know,
That's right.
we the human body can only move in so many different ways, but it has so many different sizes and shapes
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
there still is a lot of discrepancy within the technique.
Yeah,
It sounded
absolutely.
like you were going to say something
Oh, no,
more.
no, no, no.
So,
I was just saying from the fact that I see Kempo. I'll use Kempo as my example. Kempo
mhm.
provides us a template or a blueprint. It gives us an
Yes,
opportunity for
yes,
us to be able to say, based within this template or blueprint, how do I express myself to the fullest capability I can?
yes,
Whether it is
yes.
6'5", whether it is, 5'2",
Hmm.
right? Or am I skinny? Am I tall and lean, or am I a little more stocky, right?
Right,
All of those
right.
things come into play, but they allow you to make your Kempo work for you. And that's the important
Yes,
part.
yes. Absolutely. Good. Um, Tell me how martial arts has helped you outside of martial arts, whether that be being a better husband or father, or steward to the community, or whether it helps you in whatever day job. Just how has martial arts helped you be a better person?
Well, that's a big question. So,
Right.
so I have 3 kids, all of which got their black belt in Kempo,
Good.
uh, but I did not force them.
Hmm.
I exposed them to that when I was started out. They started when they were about five, somewhere between 4 and 5.
Mhm.
Uh, they all got their first degrees, which is great. My daughter even does women's self-defense classes, and she does those regularly because of the fact that in today's society, it's one of those things that I find very comforting that she's still doing that.
Yes.
But one of the things I also found as part of doing martial arts is that it gives me a better appreciation for those people who are currently doing it, who may be, let's say, uh, pulling their hair out, trying to remember technique
Mhm.
XYZ, or
Mhm.
for those people who have come before me and are looking to impart knowledge. I want to
Mm.
be that sponge. I get to learn and continue to learn. Uh,
Mm.
it turns out that as part of my background, I sit in front of a computer probably 10 hours a day. So I'm
Long
just,
days.
I do a lot of computer programming. So for me, martial
Okay.
arts is a good way to change up the pace, change up the routine,
Mm.
first and foremost.
Mm.
Second thing is it gives me that exercise and that health benefit. Stick
Mm.
fighting is a great way to get a good exercise. Kempo is too. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
I don't do the competition side for Kempo, but I do the
Mhm.
competition side for Filipino martial arts. And then on top of all that, I get a chance to share what I
Mhm.
learned with others.
Mhm.
And I was a teacher a long time ago. I've got a PhD in experimental particle physics. So I've had an opportunity to do a lot of different things. And this is another thing that I can pay forward and be able to say, hey,
Mhm.
how can I help you learn something about yourself, something wonderful about yourself?
Mhm. How does experimental particle physics help with martial arts?
It's all about perseverance.
Okay.
There were times when I was getting close to having to write my dissertation, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I don't know if I want to do this anymore.
Ah. Ah.
And you stick it out a little bit, and you're like, okay, I'm okay. And then you've got your friends and your family trying to help you see that okay, you've got the light at the end of the tunnel. Now,
Mhm.
for in this particular case, yeah, I finally pushed through and I got my dissertation done and I got it all signed off. But it was a teaching moment. It was a moment of saying, hey, things in life that are worthwhile are
Sure.
potentially hard.
Sure. Yes.
Martial
Yes.
arts is no different. It's one of those
Mhm.
things where if this is something you want to do, you will find a way.
Mhm.
And I tell my students that all the time is that there are times when you're going to say, I just hate this technique, or I really am having a hard time with this set or this form. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's okay. This is a teaching moment for you because there are going to be
Mhm.
things that you are going to absolutely love, and there are going to be things you absolutely hate. But you got to be able to
Mhm.
dislike. I shouldn't say hate, dislike.
Yeah. Yeah.
But everything is all about balance, and being able to take the good with the bad is about how we grow as people, as a person.
Mhm.
And I think
Great.
that's probably the biggest thing that I've pulled from all of this is that I've grown as a person. I've grown as a
Mm.
teacher.
First of all, congratulations, because this is the first time experimental particle physics has come up in this podcast. Uh,
Well, there you go. There's a first.
yeah, there's a first. There's a first. I have definitely talked to more Kempo guys, but that's because that's my wheelhouse. Experimental particle physics. So, how has teaching martial arts or instructing martial arts, how has that helped your own personal martial arts study and your own martial arts growth?
I'm going to sum that up into a simple sentence.
Okay.
We teach to learn so we can learn to teach.
Ooh, I, I love that. No notes on that.
Right? The more that I get an opportunity to teach something, is the more that I get an opportunity to learn more about what I'm teaching. And in doing
Mm-hmm.
so, I'm expanding my own knowledge base alongside expanding somebody else's knowledge base. And I get
Mm-hmm.
to see these intricate details or these connections, whatever that may be. And it allows me to grow, because it's really, as a martial artist, our purpose is to grow and to be able to give back. And I can't do that unless I'm able to make those connections. And teaching is a great way to do that, because it forces you to have to think about something on a slightly different level.
Absolutely. I've been getting into a lot of, I won't use the word fights because we're talking about martial arts, but discussions, heated
Hmm.
discussions with individuals who just, they can't seem to grasp that our goal is to share,
Hmm.
so like I've taken on the vernacular that as martial artists, the two things that we have, the only two things that we have, I as Paul, I don't have Kempo. What I
Hmm.
do have is I have my own personal intention, and I have my own personal perspectives. And so it's my job to set the intention. I want to study this, I want to learn this, I want to work on this today, and it is my job to articulate and communicate the perception, and then we're supposed to just share perceptions. And the reason that that came up is I don't know if you know this or not, but the internet is not a completely positive place,
Yes,
and
unfortunately.
the martial the martial arts side of the internet is excessively negative, in my opinion. And I said, it doesn't do martial arts any good. Forget about me, forget about whoever else is talking. It doesn't do the art any good if I see a technique and I go, that won't work. That's not how my school does it. That's bullshit, or whatever. Like if I
Mhm.
respond negatively closed, that doesn't do anything. But if I respond and say, that's interesting, let me show you how I do it, and then post a video or whatever of whatever the technique is, how I'm doing it, that shares the perspective. That allows whoever's reading the whole thread to see more than one way of doing the thing. And then that expands the art, as opposed to like closing it off, walling it off, pushing it down, oppressing it in some capacity. So,
Yeah, I can relate to that. You know, there are lots of places where there is a, if you will, let's call it a single vision, right?
there you go.
Uh, and the intention is that it's that way or the highway, for lack of another euphemism.
Right.
And the idea is that doesn't foster uh, conversations. It doesn't foster discussions about, what is it that makes this better or worse. And again, I
Right.
try not to do it as a comparison, because
Mm-hmm.
of the fact that one of us may learn something slightly different, and it doesn't necessarily make it any better or worse. It's just different.
Right.
But
Right.
having that open mind is important, and
Mm-hmm.
being willing, not just able, but willing to discuss it so that we can see the merits and the
Mm-hmm.
potential pitfalls, right? Because it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean that it's always going to be roses, right? It could be
Oh,
saying, oh,
absolutely.
there may be places where, oh, yeah, okay, I can see where that might be a benefit, and being able
Mm-hmm.
to listen and to discuss that. Politics is probably the worst thing that has infected, if you will, martial arts. And I see it a lot with Filipino martial arts. And, I've dealt with it. And it's one of those things where when I work with my students, when we get ready for competitions and whatnot, they start thinking about, oh, do I need to worry about this? And do I need to worry about that? And I'm like, the answer is no. Your sole job is to compete and to fight. If there's an
Mm.
issue, as coach, if there's an issue that you are running into with a body or an organization or a particular person, that's my job to solve,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
you have a singular focus. And I want you to
Mm-hmm.
be able to focus on that without having those distractions.
Mm-hmm. I know what you mean by politics invading the arts. I have not heard of politics invading the FMA world. I also am not as versed in the FMA world as I am in other worlds without any sort of dragging anybody through the mud. That's not what I'm trying to get here.
No,
Could we
no, no.
have like some sort of like example or something, or things that have to be navigated? Is it a cultural divide, or uh
I think probably the biggest thing that I see is, if you will, let's call it old school versus new school.
okay,
Okay.
okay,
So there are things where if they become stagnant,
mm-hmm,
whether it's policy, whether it's process, it
mm-hmm,
will wither. It can
yes,
die.
yes, mm-hmm,
So we want to foster the ability to say, okay, I'm open to suggestions. How could we improve? How can we
mm-hmm,
make better? When those avenues start to get shut down because of somebody's got a particular piece of pride that is, or ego that is in
okay,
the mix,
yeah,
then it becomes a situation where,
mm-hmm,
okay, I don't want that to infect what we're
yeah,
trying to do, because
mm-hmm,
one
mm-hmm,
of the things, one of the biggest tenets, and it's actually on our patch for Doce Pares, which is the particular style of Filipino martial arts that I study, is
mm-hmm,
for the WECAF, which is the World Eskrima Kali Arnis Federation. Their
mm-hmm,
byline is unifying FMA. That word unifying is absolutely essential. And when we
yeah,
bring these politics that come into this, that's where
mm-hmm,
division starts, and that's where things
right.
start to fall apart.
Thank you for answering that. And that was I didn't want any sort of like gossip or anything. I was
No,
wanting
no, no,
that
no.
clarification. Um, I think it is a horrible disservice that we do to martial art when we allow ego to drive the car, so to speak.
Yeah. You know,
And
yeah,
go ahead.
I think just as a side point to that statement, I am always, I like to believe, at least I am always of the spirit of, I want to put people that I get a chance to work with, people that I get a chance to teach, they come first, because
Yes,
they
absolutely.
are the people who are going to be, that I'm passing the torch to. I want to
Mm-hmm.
see them flourish. I want to see them be able to say, hey, you know what? I'm reaching a point where maybe if I've done this for so many years, I want to be able to give it to somebody else. How do I
Mm-hmm.
pass it on? And
Mm-hmm.
that's, for me, I'm always very appreciative of everything that I get an opportunity to learn from
Mm-hmm.
all of my teachers, whoever they may be.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able
I,
to say, how do I pass that on to somebody else?
right. And the other point that a lot of us tend to lose sight of is if we lead the way that you're speaking versus in this sort of gatekeeper, we'll use the word gatekeeper
Hmm.
mentality. If we lead the way that you're speaking, then in theory the student that you have taught or that is taught in a capacity of learning in that way, they're better than you were.
Yes,
When you get to 20 years, they're better at their 20-year mark. And so
that's right.
the other part is it's a disservice to the art because it's kind of regressing. It's kind of pulling back on the reins of the art and not allowing the art to grow or develop to everything that it could.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it's almost like I really like this martial art, but it's mine. It's not anybody else's. And there's some sort of deficit mentality in that if I give it away to other people, it somehow dilutes or diminishes. And I
Yeah,
just,
and I think that's an unfortunate philosophy. I think it's actually the reverse. The more that we're
Yes.
willing to be able to share it becomes
Hmm.
the better that everybody can have an opportunity to express themselves and
Absolutely.
experience it.
Absolutely. Uh, yeah, no notes there. No notes there. I hope that one of my hopes is always that I'm having a conversation like this and it goes in this direction, and one of my senior peers, I guess I'm senior now, will hear this, and maybe it shifts for that person, and maybe it helps open them back up, get a student mentality, or get a more of an open heart as they teach in some capacity. um, I am currently working. My life's work in martial arts has led me to um, trauma informed martial arts instruction, and
Okay.
that in part has to do with my past. That in part has to do with my present. But I bring that up to ask you. Wording is so extremely important. After 32 years of martial arts and 28 years of instruction, the biggest thing that I have learned is that I am now expected to pick my words in a way that maybe not everybody understands, but that it completely represents what I am trying to say.
Okay.
Whereas when I was an instructor of 5 years, they're like, he's fresh. Give him time to fumble. You know,
Yeah. He's
you
green
know,
behind the ears, right?
yeah, green behind the ears. He's still a pup, they would say. Um, what I want to know is, because you said you taught in an academic sense,
Hmm.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
How does teaching in an academic sense first, then inform or translate while teaching martial art?
Well, as probably you have been aware for many a year, you have to you read the room. You got to read the room to get an idea,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
And one of the interesting things about the academic side is the fact that depending upon at what level you're teaching, whether it's a high school level, maybe, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe middle school, or if it's college level, there's a
Mm-hmm.
transition in there. From the point of view of a high school situation, let's say, if you're teaching there, you've got this situation where you are in charge as well as entrusted of
Okay.
seeing your students all
Mm-hmm.
succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there's a clearly a certain amount of heart that you give to all of your students because you want to see them
Absolutely.
succeed.
Absolutely.
And I've seen this with my kids when they translate and they choose to go to college. College
Mm-hmm.
is very different. As
Mm-hmm.
a professor, or as an adjunct professor, or as a TA, even that you have a job, and if the students are able to get it, that's great. If they don't, that's unfortunate. There's not as much investment, if you will, in terms of heart and soul.
Right.
It's not to say that the professors or the teachers don't want to see you succeed. It's just that that
Mm-hmm.
investment isn't the same as it is prior to college. So,
Right.
in that perspective, in this particular case for me, I kind of had to learn, how do I engage? How do I get the
Okay.
students, if you will, whether it's physically involved, mentally involved, excited about what
Mm.
they're looking to learn? Because if you're excited about something, you're more willing to give it sort of the handy shake to say, okay, I can do
Right.
this. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and part of that could be being able to remember each of their names, or ha-
Oh.
having some saying a joke every now and then, kind of deal. Something that allows you to connect with them
Mm-hmm.
and to show
Mm-hmm.
that, hey, I'm not just here to show you how to do, let's say delayed sword, or let's say it's going to be hugging pendulum or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea is that, hey, how do we have fun? Because if I'm able to get you to think about this and to attach something to it that is memorable, it will
Mm-hmm.
be something that you will take personally and you will continue to practice. You will
Absolutely.
continue to see why this is something useful for me.
Mm-hmm.
So that connection is important. And that goes
Mm-hmm.
for whether it's academic or if it's in martial arts, because
Mm-hmm.
it's effectively the idea of conveyance of information. How do we get
Mm-hmm.
that efficiently done? Well,
Mm-hmm.
you want to make that connection. And when you make that
Mm-hmm.
connection, it's a lot easier to have your students be able to say, oh, I have a question, because now they're more willing to even ask a question.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That that answer was exactly what I wanted, even though it probably doesn't land for any of my viewers because it doesn't have anything to do with trauma. But um, it has been my life's perspective that the two biggest things that you can do to make a trauma informed learning environment are
Hmm.
two things um, that you touched on. And the first one was when you said that word listening. For
Hmm.
my male audience, listening, listening. Um, and the second thing is that connection, because with the connection in martial arts comes a lot of other things like just trust and understanding and
Yes.
you, and so like no, those two things are not the only two things that go um, into trauma informed instruction, but those two, I would argue, are among the first tools that should be utilized and are also kind of the easiest to do if you're being present and aware and setting the proper intention while instructing. So
Yes, I would totally agree with that. I would totally agree with that.
but you have to have that intention, because if you don't
Hmm.
have that intention and you're just in lecture mode or you're just in ego mode or whatever, you are going to miss those things. So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
um
It's that
go
whole
ahead.
idea of leaving all that stuff at the front of the door, right?
Right,
When
right. It's one of the reasons we bow onto the mat,
Yep, exactly.
because you leave it behind you. um
Hmm.
I keep these at about an hour, and we've barreled right through it.
Oh,
Is there
okay.
anything that you would like to say that you didn't get a chance to say? What didn't I ask?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess the only thing I would say is sort of in closing for myself is
Mm-hmm.
clearly this is something that I find uh, it's something that I've always wanted to do. It's something I've gotten an opportunity to do, and I hope to continue to do it. I hope that others who follow behind me or alongside me see and feel the same way, because I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
unifies us as martial artists, regardless of what your particular style is. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about how do we grow and how can we help others grow.
Absolutely, that's great. So, Mike, I thank everybody that sits down with me, first of all, for your time. I know time is fleeting and we have far too little of it to begin with, and I am grateful that you gave some to me. The
You're
second
welcome.
thing that I thank everybody for is, now that you've had this conversation with me, you're now a part of my martial arts journey, whether you like that or not. And I thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. Thank you. You know, this is the opportunity to connect with others is probably one of the greatest gifts that we can give each other.
Absolutely. And like that was one of the reasons that I started this podcast, is because I wanted to help make the community stronger in a place where I found community when I needed it.
Hmm.
And whether it be us having a conversation about martial arts for an hour or meeting up at some sort of martial arts event, it's still in a way the same as fellowship for any religion part of
Yes,
every
absolutely.
religion is going to the class or to the temple or to the church or the monastery and fellowshipping with others who are like-minded. And this is the same thing. This is our fellowship, and this is another way that we grow and learn and get stronger within the arts. So I
I
appreciate it.
agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank anybody that watched, listened to this, a combination thereof. And like always, everybody, please keep kicking.
Awesome.